Welcome into Gameday Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson. The final full week of the regular season is leaving no crumbs. If you take a look at the latest top 8 teams on the boys' side, 6 of those 8 teams are playing tonight on GDN, and that does not include St. Edward, 18-2, traveling to face St. John's. Who better to break it all down than the boys at the desk? Rhett Boyd, Dion Thompson. I mean, you want to talk about playoff previews? You want to talk about a loaded game slate? No shortage of that here on Gameday Nation.
Nah, you know, it should be Black History Month. I'm glad we got some good games.
What is that?
Hey, I had to get that in there. But seriously, guys, this is probably the best week of games that I'm seeing. Sure. I'm excited about. I mean, if you look at the roster, you guys are going to want to stay tuned tonight. Do not change the channel. Don't go anywhere, because we got some great ones tonight.
Our game of the week, our headliners, St. Francis versus Central Catholic. 2 teams on different trajectories. Neither team made it to the Catholic League Championship. Of course, that went to St. John's, but nonetheless, it is going to be an amazing night of basketball. We have live game look-in. 6 games for you guys. We also have our top recruit, student section of the week. Caleb Spinner will have that. We reveal our all BCSN top 10 list. Man, that was hard to narrow down. We'll reveal that later in the show. Game highlights, big play breakdown, Carnes' questions, ref of the week, all of that on Gameday Nation. Take a look at that lineup. I mean, St. Francis Central Catholic is great. St. Ed at St. John's is great. Lima Senior at Perrysburg. I know the Yellow Jackets are looking for that signature win, but I know Lima Senior. Dion, man.
They are, but I'm going to tell you what, Perrysburg's playing really well. What they just did to Whitmer, I mean, to me, they really came back. They had a little lull in the middle of the season, when we went towards the end of the season, but the way they finished up, everybody's clicking right now.
Perrysburg riding a 6-game winning streak, but you also have some NLL matchups. Anthony Wayne at Northview, Findlay at Whitmer, Bowling Green at Clay. A lot that can be decided as far as teams that could potentially go far in these district tournaments that kick off next week.
Low key, those NLL matchups. Anthony Wayne and Northview, both teams 13-7 coming into the game. Northview, that was kind of their signature win when they won at Anthony Wayne earlier this year. Gave a lot of confidence. They then came back and beat Perrysburg.
But besides a win, what do you need to see from St. Francis? Because remember, the bad loss recently, coming to Liberty Center, texting with the coach, putting a zone in. Horton was neutralized. Of course, Chris Polinitz dropped 30 points, but still, when you're able to neutralize Horton, especially with Cedric Hester out due to the transfer rules, it seems like that's the recipe towards shutting down the Knights.
I think everybody's kind of really boggling Horton up, because he's only averaging 14 a game. Not only, but you know, he still has to be your main option. But the other guys have to knock down shots. Because when you throw it into him, I'm sure he's getting doubled and triple teamed. And the thing that we saw with Al, he's not a black hole. He's not just going to force anything. So guys have to get open. They have to knock down shots tonight.
And Central Catholic, rolling, of course, didn't make it to the Catholic League Tournament Championship, as we mentioned before. But still, the Fighting Irish, far and away, along with Lima Senior, one of, if not the best team in the area.
If there is a silver lining to getting knocked out early in that Catholic League Tournament, is it maybe reinvigorates that hunger just a little bit. Not saying it wasn't there, because you play in that Catholic League, it's a juggernaut, we know each and every night. But it just kind of resets your focus, and you can lock in. And they got this game, trust me, they got this game, you know, circled on the calendar. Look, we're hungry, we're mad, and this is a chance to come out against our rival and set the tone for what we want to do and expect to do, which is make a deep tournament run. So this is big for Central. Important for them to get out of the gates early in this one.
And then you have St. Edward versus St. John's, possibly the best matchup on paper. Can't believe the Titans really got that game on their senior night, but nonetheless, St. Edward, one of, if not the best team in its division. But the Titans rolling after winning the Catholic League title, a chance for them to prove that they can be a force to be reckoned with even more come state tournament time.
Oh, no. They've proved it. And they play St. Ed's pretty much every year. So this is a game. They're playing them a little later, I believe, than normal, but this is a game you want going into the tournament. They're not going to see St. Ed's, so this is a great game. They're going to play loose, and they have a ton of confidence because they know they just won that Catholic League title.
And even for St. Ed's, coming across the state, you know, because you're going to have to travel. And if you're going to get deep in, you know, try to make your way down to Dayton, you're going to have to travel. And so for them to come across, play at St. John's, team on the road, hostile environment, senior night, that's important for their program too. Again, credit to all these coaches for scheduling this type of a game this late in the year. Because again, it's not about the W and the L per se. It's about getting your team ready for that gauntlet you're going to face over the course of the next 2-3 weeks.
St. Francis, Central Catholic, Part 2. The Fighting Irish took round 1 by 12 back on January 13th. What do these rivals have in store for an encore? We send it into Mason Lowry and Darren Cohn to find out.
Look at that, coming downhill. Nobody's stopping that. You're not sliding over and taking that charge. I can tell you right now in the BCSN studios.
That's a bad man. Manny Johnson feeling it early. Central Catholic up over St. Francis. Johnson 7 points early on. You're watching Gameday Nation presented by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window. We'll be right back. We are in the Student Media Center presented by Stolzenberger College. Fast track your career and apply today at sctoday.edu. For your chance to win Student Section of the Week, all you have to do, tag us on social media, hashtag SSOTW. Time is running out to win the chain for the week and potentially the entire season. Find us on X, Facebook, wherever you guys do your social media nowadays. All right. Early action here on Gameday Nation. We mentioned it's a loaded lineup, and that continues with Central Catholic and St. Francis. The Fighting Irish, after Manny Johnson and one, now up 10 over the Knights. Very alarming with a minute and change left in the first quarter. We send it in to Mason and Darren on the call.
You mentioned who absolutely could generate points at the free throw line. Dominant first 8 from the Central Catholic Fighting Irish. Up 21-7. It's a football score at Sullivan.
Is there anybody better than Mason Lowry? It's a football score, but look, Central Catholic up 21-7 over St. Francis. Wow, you said it, Dion. Everything looks hard for St. Francis right now.
It looks forced. Like when you watch them try to get into their sets, everything is 25 to 28 feet away from the basket.
Central Catholic up 21-7 over St. Francis in our game of the week. You're watching Gameday Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window. We got more games. Trust me, we got more loaded games coming up. Man, oh man, welcome to the 6 box, ladies and gentlemen. This is great action.
What we tell y'all was going to happen.
Let me tell you, that St. John's game, Race Kowalczyk, back-to-back, turn around, fade away, one leg up. I mean, he's special.
What was the first thing Rhett and I said at the beginning of the show? Do not change the channel. Stay with. We knew this was going to happen tonight.
What you talking about? Yeah, you said Race Kowalczyk. What I love about him is he started the game out 0 for 3, and you think that deterred him from taking his shots? He continued to get to his spots, and they started knocking out shots. He's in a great rhythm right now.
Welcome back. In our game of the week, Central Catholic up 36-17 over St. Francis. The defense getting it done for the Fighting Irish. The Knights shooting just 24% from the field compared to the Fighting Irish's 52%. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here. And of course, we talked about earlier in the game how St. Francis is struggling to get the ball into the paint to Allen Horton. But as much as it is a struggle for the Knights, Dion, it's also a credit to Central Catholic's great defense.
A lot of people think, you know, the way to not get the ball to the post is by playing off the guy. What Central does a good job, they get right up on the guy who's handling the basketball. That makes that entry pass very difficult.
And offensively, Manny Johnson, Caden Kennard, 10 points each, Dre Wardrop adding 9. So when you think about offensively, we know how great they are. We know how many guys they have, but when Manny Johnson is going off like that, at least in the first half, it seems to unlock a whole nother level for the Fighting Irish offense.
Well, we talked about this. When you have good guard play, you're going to be in a lot of games. Manny Johnson is an elite guard. I said this earlier. He's finally healthy. We never really got a chance to see the full Manny Johnson package. He's not a guy that's going to wow you with dunking and everything. No, he's very fast. He knows how to change pace, and he's a leader. Rhett, you said it before. He's an alpha male. He's the leader, and they know he is, but he shares the basketball equally well.
Another team that is loaded, St. John's, up 35-14 at halftime over St. Edward. This is a Titans team that outscored St. Ed 20-4 in the second quarter. We know how great the Titans are. We get it. But is there anything that surprised you about the way St. John's came out in this game?
No, they believe. If you've done what they've done, first team in City League history to win the CHSL, championship, they have not slacked off a bit. And they're letting us know right now, if you thought it was a fluke, what we did last week.
Look what we're doing against the number 1 team in Cleveland. Mental resolve, that is very important. Of course, St. John's locked in for this game against St. Ed. But remember, that same conversation we had weeks ago, you said St. Francis was the scariest team in the area. And right now, the Knights looking far from that.
A couple weeks ago, I said, things change, right?
Things change. It's fluid.
Yeah, it's fluid. It's always fluid. Look, I think
I always got to get his
I'm just saying.
But it's right. And so it's a long year, right? It's a grind.
Yep.
And you have your ebbs and flows. And you said it. Yeah, you said it perfectly a couple weeks ago. We're talking. styles make fights.
Yep. Yeah. Man, that's only 2 games we were talking about. We have 4 more, including Lima Senior and Perrysburg. We got it all after the break. You're watching Game Day Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window. We'll be right back. But don't you think the Yellow Jackets can score in bunches too? It takes nearly, it looks like a perfect game to keep, even in the slimmest of margins with Lima Senior, and it seems like the Yellow Jackets are doing that, at least for now.
Yeah, but the thing is, Lima Senior will give up some easy buckets just because of the way they play. Now take advantage right here, 2-on-1. That's what you have to do. Now, if that's the case, you're going to get some good looks. But once you get over half court, those guys are going to jump passing lanes. You get a lot of backdoor stuff.
Welcome back to Game Day Nation. Yaw Bonsu, Rhett Boyd, Deion Thompson. Simply an amazing night of hoops. And this is only an appetizer for what is going to be an extremely lit postseason of basketball here in Ohio. Let's take you through some of the scores tonight on Game Day Nation and beyond. Findlay taking down Whitmer, Fremont Ross taking down Southview, Springfield beating Napoleon, Northview edging Anthony Wayne by only 2 points, and of course Lima Senior over Perrysburg. Lima Senior outscored Perrysburg 29-13 in the third quarter to take that win, and then you have Clay, a 30-point dub over BG. When you take a look at these NLL scores, and of course Perrysburg against Lima Senior, any scores stick out?
For me, it shows you how far Clay has come in the last 2-3 weeks. They lost to Bowling Green by 10. 2-3 weeks ago, and then to come back and beat them by 30, they're playing really, really good basketball at the right time.
Meanwhile, quickly here, Maumee Valley Country Day. I wish they got to 100. My goodness, 99-39. Maumee Valley finishes the regular season undefeated in league play. And of course, St. John's over St. Ed, the Titans, snapping St. Ed's 10-game winning streak.
Lake, 17th win on the season over a much better, much improved Maumee team. Luke Hickey, heck of a job out there in Millbury.
Hey, Genoa's undefeated too.
Staying undefeated. Come on now.
And I'm very shocked about that Central St. Francis score. I really am.
Central.
I didn't think that was going to happen.
As the kids would say, BTA. If you don't know what that means, look it up. You're watching Game Day Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. We're revealing our top 10 all BCSN players after the break. Welcome back to Game Day Nation. Yaw Bonsu, Rhett Boyd, Deion Thompson. It is finally time to reveal our all BCSN top 10. It was hard enough getting to 30 a few weeks ago, but now we are down to the top 10 on the boys and girls side. Let's reveal it. We begin with the girls. Now, you're probably asking how we came down with this list. It began with just talking to all of the great basketball minds. After consulting with area high school coaches, BCSN staff, announcers, analysts, we compiled a list of the top 30 boys and girls basketball players in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. The list focusing on players within the Buckeye Broadband BCSN footprint in the Toledo and Sandusky markets, while also recognizing outstanding players from our television partner 13 ABC and its viewing area. And of course, First Team All BCSN is presented by MedOne Care Therapy Partners, compassionate care from the comfort of our home. When you look at this list, a lot of bucket getters, and that begins with Gibsonburg's all-time leading scorer in Ellie Everett's, Coach Boyd.
Yeah, Ellie Everett's 20 points a game. How about this? 72 made triples, all while shooting 40% from the big line. Just a tough matchup each and every night. Congratulations to her. And then we slide over to the NLL Buckeye division and Davini Harris of Findlay. Another individual averaging 20 points a ball game, and she's a 3-level scorer, and you're going to see it in this package. You're knocks down the triple.
She is filthy. I don't care what nobody says.
You get the floater inside the free throw line, and then she's going to come back with you. She's going to get by you and gets all the way to the cup.
Man. Findlay, of course, will bye to the district finals on February 28th, a 15-7 record. And what stands out the most about Harris?
Just the multi-tools in the toolbox. We said got to the rim, pulled up from the mid-range, the floater game, knocks down the three. She has you on skates every single night as a defender, and just a tough guard. 20 points a game for her. And then you go down to Bellevue. The 23-0 Lady Red, 10-0 in league play, Caitlin Turinsky. 13 points a game, just under 9 rebounds a game. Great length on the inside, great footwork on the inside. You can't play her one-on-one. You gotta bring extra defenders, and that opens up the perimeter game for her teammates as well. one heck of a talent going to Youngstown State University next season.
Turinsky, a huge part of a Bellevue team that won its first ever state title in school history last season. Of course, the Red Men looking to go back-to-back this season. All right, so those are the girls. Let's take a look at the top 10 guys, perhaps even more loaded of a list, and what a stacked list it is. Of course, same process. Of course, it's presented by Med1 Care Therapy Partners. And when you look at this list, Dion, you can start with any number of guys here, but we begin with Margaretta's Julian Washington. There's a reason he's going to Dayton, and there's a reason he's a top 10 all BCSN first team member.
When you talk about Julian Washington, 6'5", he does it all. He plays forward, he plays guard. This man had 51 points, as you just saw that right there. He does a lot of that. 51 points, which was a all-time record for Margaretta. He is ranked number 8 in Ohio, okay? Not Division V, in all Ohio as a senior basketball player. Man had offers from Ohio State, averaging 26 points a game. I mean, and listen, he could average more, but he's very unselfish. When you watch this guy play, I really think he is going to really do so good for the Dayton Flyers. And like I said, he had offers from Xavier. He had offers from everybody, and he does stuff like that. That's what I love about him.
Meanwhile, we spoke a lot about Perrysburg and Lima Senior, both schools getting high representation, including the Yellow Jackets. And a big part of that, Ben Paymer.
Ben Paymer averaging 15.3 points a game. And listen, out of this junior class, he has been the leader, and you really could say pretty much every night there's somebody else, but Ben Paymer is a guy who's been the model of consistency. When you think of him, that's what I think of. Guy can knock down the three. He defends really well. Coach Chris Stein has nothing but praise for this guy's leadership.
Ben Paymer making it to the all BCSN top 10, and then when you talk about Central Catholic, man, it begins with that man, Manny Mother Blinken Johnson.
Hey, I was about to shut your mouth. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you guys something. Manny averages 13.9 a game. Here's the thing, though. Manny does so many things that aren't in the scorebook. You need a big shot, he's going to get it. You need a big defensive play, he does it. And once again, to steal something from my boy, Red Boy over here, he is an alpha male for the Central Catholic Fighting Irish, and he is the reason why they've been as good as they've been this year.
Central Catholic, a big-time, more than big-time win over St. Francis
And he's going
tonight.
to Eastern Michigan
yes,
in
sir.
the MAC, so we're going to get a chance to see a
sir.
lot of them.
It's going to be a lot of fun watching Central Catholic and all of those players in the postseason when it begins next week. You guys have a tough job of bringing that down to 5.
See, I got to stop you because you're going to get a stop at the barbershop. Listen, we are not the only ones, guys. There are so many people that contribute to this top 5. We're the faces of it, so we get the flack.
But feel free to stop them on the street if you have any issues with the list.
Y'all get this haircut every Friday on Door Street to my man Tyrone Price's barbershop. You can catch him there.
Wow, okay. So I guess I'm taking all the smoke for 11, 12, 13, and 14 that missed the list. Great stuff, and congrats to them. We break it down to 5 players in just 2 weeks. You're watching Gameday Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. We'll be right back. What a night it was of GDN,
Great
right?
night.
You have St. John's taking down St. Ed's, snapping St. Ed's 10-game winning streak. Meanwhile, you have Northview taking down Anthony Wayne. What a fantastic night of action. And, of course, Lima Senior toughing out a huge win over Perrysburg. Overtime is next with Mark Coots. Appreciate you guys joining us. Playoffs begin next week. Have a great night.